Virtue and vices. Virtue, to the traditional Chinese, is the most important set of moral rules to follow. This is strictly upheld and usually related to religious and moral teaching such as Confucianism. One example of a famous Confucian saying is, "The act of giving is the reward itself." The stories in the series provide practical lessons for all ages on how to behave. The virtues illustrated here are the importance of hard work, thrift not theft, generosity, knowing right and wrong, filial obedience, religious piety, loyalty, humility, and the value of friendship. Vices such as laziness, gambling, and drugs should be avoided, and the Chinese believe in retribution should the vices be adopted. These lessons are always relevant and useful in all societies and walks of life. Thriftiness and wealth. Being thrifty and saving up for rainy day are important steps of virtue. It is especially true if one is poor and be sure to stay away from stealing as shown here. The Caven below shows the sad lives of beggars who were forced to survive and on the charity of others. This also teaches us to share our wealth and do good deeds as will be rewarded. The Chinese belief in retribution for misdeeds is depicted in this case of police catching thieves trying to run off with a stolen chicken and some clothes. In the top Caven, it shows the vices of a Shanghai night scene and a Hong Kong cabaret show in the 1950s. Wealth is much desired, but it can become harmful if not spent properly. Time and money is seen here to be wasted on wine and women. This usually spoils one's health and creates distraction from work and family life, which are far more meaningful. Helping future generations. The road to wealth is often tough, and thus the virtue here is that hard-earned money should be put to good use. One way is to invest in the community to improve it and benefit everyone. This way, one can be selfless and pave the way for future generations. The top left scene shows both young and old folks displaying teamwork in catching fish and building a bridge. The power of cooperation makes hard tasks easier, and their smiles reflect enjoyment. In contrast, the scene below shows either young ones gambling and smuggling opium. The gateway with the tiger emblem acts as a barrier to protect them from the vices. For being generous like this, like the old man at the top right who gives rice to the needy, one has to be careful not to fall into debt like the man below who first loses his pig and then his wife to the debtors when he's unable to pay up. Tang Dynasty Buddha. This virtues and vices tableau is dedicated to the Buddha Da Tianfo, who is better known as Qigong from the Tang Dynasty. He traveled around the country dressed as a dirty-looking monk in torn and tattered robes to observe the people around him. Famous for working miracles, saving lives, and helping the poor and weak through his magic, he sits at the center with the two monks flanking him. On the top right of the rock platform are the Diamond King of the East and the colorful face, and the Diamond King of the West with a sword. Behind them is the Sakyamuni Buddha joined by Wen Zhu and Wen Xian. The latter is said to guard Buddhism teachings. On the right are the Laughing Buddha and the Goddess of Mercy with heavenly deities, Naja with a spear and Muzha with a magic whisk. Religious piety. The ruler of China, Liang Wuti, is seen here with his minister and advisor in the 6th century AD. He is a good example of the close link between religious piety and virtue. Liang Wuti is thought to have brought Buddhism to the country. He built many temples, behaved religiously, and practiced meditation. He extolled the virtue of hard work and influenced his court officials and people by example. In this display, you can see farmers and women hard at work, while three craftsmen are busy repairing the altar of the three Buddhas. Nearby, a soldier crossing the bridge on horseback is warning the young couple of the hardships and dangers in life, and not to be complacent. The Grateful Tortoise. This well-loved tale speaks of being rewarded for one's good deeds. Wang Qing was a kind man who loved animals. One day, he felt sorry for a tortoise who was being carried to the market, so he bought it and set it free in the sea. Years later, the ship he was in sunk and most of the passengers drowned, while Wang Qing was rescued by this grateful tortoise. He then married a heiress and lived happily ever after. The bottom left display shows Empress Dowager Li was the most virtuous wife, as she tolerated all kinds of injustice. She was thrown into the dungeons and nearly died. Luckily, she escaped to a humble heart with the help of her loyal officials, but she became blind from crying. The top right shows the 18 Lohans, famous powers. One of the Lohan, called Pindola, could ride a dragon and control wild animals. They are considered guardians of Buddhism and had at least 500 subordinates each. Determination, loyalty, and hard work. This series tells of the importance of determination, loyalty, and hard work. The first tale is of Hong Fu Nu, who visited the Tang Dynasty military strategist Li Jing on a bitterly cold night and gave him a winter coat as a love token. They then ran away to China's northern border to serve the emperor. The second tale is of Han Yu, a Tang Dynasty scholar, and his nephew Han Xiangzi, who tried to impart religious teachings to him. Han Xiangzi became the patron saint of musicians and one of the 8 immortals. Qing Cheng was the owner of a provision shop who spent his time gambling. Once, his wife could not cope and asked their son to look for him. The son was hit by a car and killed on the way. Last but not least, we see 2 students. Jia, who was hardworking, and Yi, who was lazy. After graduation, Jia became a bank clerk, while Yi managed his father's store, but he could not understand the accounts and had to seek Jia's help. The man at the front to the right is Yi, who is holding a book upside down. Friendship and loyalty. Another popular tool used to tell the importance of being loyal to friends warns of the consequences that betrayal could bring. This story tells of 2 boys in the woods for a picnic. One of them spotted a bear and ran away without his friend. The bear was spooked by the boy who was left behind as he played dead, and thus gave chase to the other friend and killed him. In another version, the first boy who climbed up a tree saw the bear sniff at his friend who played dead. When he was safe, the boy asked what the bear did. The friend then replied sadly. He said never to trust a friend who betrays you in times of trouble.